Okay, so for our last question, it's like, what things do you think the justice system should be doing differently in regards to juveniles?
So things the justice system should be doing differently for juveniles. Okay, so I was taking a class. I'm currently taking a class. It's called Courts and Society, and we watched a documentary. It's called They Call Us Monsters, and it's about like four kids. I think it was like four young boys that were in a juvenile detention center in California, if I'm not mistaken. And one of the kids, his name is Antonio, and when he like got out, he like was homeless. His mom like they were living like in a like where he was living like before he went in, like they didn't have that place anymore, and now like they had moved in with his sister. And in the video you see like it's a tiny, like it seems like it's like 1 bedroom apartment, and in there was like three babies and like his sister, his mom, and like other children. And he was like I can't stay here, like I'm like he even said like he considered himself like a man, and he was only like 14 years old, and he was like I'm a man, like as the man, like I can't be like he it's almost like he felt like I can't stay here because like I'm taking up space, kind of like I'll figure it out on my own, like where I'm staying and how I'm gonna figure this out, kind of thing. So I think a big thing that the system needs to change is like that like rehabilitation, going into like, because you are really going back into like the world, because you are in a closed space when you are like incarcerated. Like that's, you need to be like there needs to be like more resources to help you when you're out. Like for example, there should have been someone checking up on him, like not just like those like officers that make sure like that you're like parole officers, stuff like that. Like there should be like actual like people who like that are part of like maybe organizations that are like help you find housing, like affordable housing, so that his family isn't like having to like sleep in like a 1 bedroom apartment. And he's like, I remember like he started using like drugs again. Like, I mean, if you find yourself in those kind of situations, like you were in juvenile detention center, you missed like years, like a year and something of your life, you come home and you come home to poverty, to like stress, like how can you not go back to those ways of like doing drugs again and stuff like that. So I definitely think the state needs to be like they need to give more like resources to people that are going that are like leaving like prisons or jails. What else? I think like having more programs like inside of like the like detention centers or jails and stuff like that. Because I remember reading like a source, and I think it's CLJ 355, and it was saying, it was like a woman's prison, but it was saying how like there was times where if they were like, people would like act up as punishment, they'd be like, oh, you're not going to that class. Like how is that like a good punishment? Like you're stopping them from going to that program that is helping them like change, and helping them like that's gonna help them like in the when they're out of here. Like, and specifically it was like I think like a parenting class. Like why would you do that? Like that's gonna help her when she comes out of jail and she like is with her children, you know what I mean? Like why would you like restrict them from doing that? So I think definitely having more programs inside of the jails and actually making them available to people, because I also know like a lot of programs are like small, there's like waiting lists, or like maybe like they say like, oh, we're gonna offer it, and then they don't offer it. Yeah, so I think that's what the system or the state needs to like work on.
Yeah, to like the first thing you said, I think it's important for them to have somebody outside of like parole officers, to be able to lean on, since often, like, you know, the parole officers just mainly punish them, right? So I think it's a good idea, like, especially about the kid you talked to, Antonio, like, he really needed another home. So it's like having people they can rely on to help them with their basic needs. But like pushing it even further, like community level wise, you know, like, okay, this person, so and so is coming back. What things are they going to need?
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, if people don't have what they need, they're going to find some way to get it.
Yes.
And like you said with Antonio, like, you know, he had to go back out into the streets and he started doing drugs again, you know, because that was his way of coping, since he really didn't have anybody helping him out there. Towards the next thing you said, I think as well, like, the justice system needs to include much more extracurricular activities for children to have, since, you know, when they get out there, they might not have those activities to go to. So if they're going to be locked up away for a long time, they might as well have something productive to do, instead of just, like, you know, sitting there and being angry because that they're locked up, you know. It's gonna help them not just have something to do, but also it's gonna help them talk to other people who are in prison with them, you know, and be like, okay, yeah, like, we're not alone in this. We're each going through our own thing, but we still have that same understanding that, you know, not just the justice system, but many other systems have failed us, and like, it isn't specifically our fault. You know, I think too is kind of bad that, you know, they'll punish people and be like, okay, yeah, you can't go to that activity, because I know that happens with prisoners who are trying to get higher education. Like, they'll be like, okay, you can't go to school so and so day, whatever. And if, like, you miss school, then, like, you can't graduate for them. Like, it's that strict, you know, you can't really miss a day. It's like, why are you continuing, not just in prison, but also outside of prison? Why are you continuously setting up these roadblocks? Like, it's like you just continuously are trying to see them fail, you know. That's not going to be any helpful too. I think a third thing should be, like, not separating families, trying to prevent that, especially with mothers and their babies. You know, often what I've seen is that mothers in prison, they have a lot of hope and ambition that they're going to be reconnected with their child, so then they do really well in prison because of that. But it's like, you know, why just avoid that at all, because then they're gonna be focused too much about being a parent instead of focusing on, like, you know, their own issues, and that can create a problem as well. I guess, like, another thing specifically for children could be eliminating zero tolerance policies in schools, right? Because, like we've mentioned before, it's not helpful. It doesn't really teach children anything, and it just really instills fear into children, which then they end up leaning on their peers who have also done bad things, right? To get that support. And, you know, it's good to not have these zero tolerance policies in order to reduce dropout rates.
Yes. Because also, like, stopping someone from receiving their education definitely plays a role into that. Like, it's like kind of like not linear, but like that pattern of, like, oh, like, I never got to get my degree, now I can't get a job, or I don't get a well-paying job, and now I have to, like, dive into this to get some, like, side money, and then, you know what I mean? Like, that definitely plays a role.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hopefully it was helpful.